Well, time for me to get my guests on the show. I'm joined by former India cricketer Yajurvindra Singh on the show. Also joining me are Indian fans Afzal Jivani and Amanda Hayden. Good evening to you all. Coming to you, Yajurvindra, we heard Virat Kohli and his colleagues talking about farmer protests, unusual times and reactions from unusual quarters, would you say?
Yeah, it is. But I think where cricket is concerned, I'm sure they'll put that all behind. It is a very important series for India, especially trying to qualify for the World Championship of Test cricket. And I'm sure all these things are naturally going to be of concern, a farmers' rally, especially when Gill's family was also right there in the midst of the farmers. It is a touchy subject, but I think where sports is concerned, where cricket is concerned, I'm sure they will all put that in the backyard, and it's a new day for them, and it's a great moment for India because finally cricket is back in our soil. Wonderful.
Right. And it's perhaps a moment for Indian cricket fans to celebrate as well. Afzal, coming to you, it's, as we mentioned, it's a great moment. Cricket is back post-COVID. But your thoughts, your reaction about Indian cricket captain and his colleagues talking about farmer protests?
Actually, I found it very surprising when this issue was raised by all the Indian cricketers, like most of the cricketers. I thought they were more focused towards the game and the series that is coming up, because it is a very important series when you take into context what has happened with the Australia and South Africa series being postponed and Australia being docked 4 points for their slow over rate. So this series has taken precedence, and I was very surprised when Virat Kohli and all the other former cricketers as well.
Let me get a reaction from Amanda as well. Amanda, your first reactions to Indian cricketers tweeting about farm protests?
See, I think everyone's entitled to their own opinions on this particular matter, and it's not really my place to comment on it.
Right. Coming back to you, Yajurvindra, and talking cricket, which is the reason we are here for. When we, speak about Chennai, India beat Australia in their backyard, which is considered their fortress, Gabba. Chennai is considered to be India's fortress. If you look at the last game that was played in Chennai between Tamil Nadu and Railways, it ended just in 2 days. And credit goes to spinners in the way they performed. Would you say spinners hold the key to this tournament, particularly this test match?
See, somehow I've seen with the Chennai wickets, if it's green and sometimes hard as well, it's been one of the fastest wickets also people have played on. And also it becomes a spinner's track when they want it. So a lot depends on what the Indian team must have asked, whether they want a spinning track or a pace bowler's track. For me, I think both the sides have got such brilliant bowlers that it's going to be a very good wicket to bat on. I don't think it's going to be totally a spinner's wicket because we have such a fantastic pace attack as well. A lot will be depending more than the wicket as to how the people bat on it. A wicket can be created and it can be made according to what's suitable. In the earlier days, we had spinners, and so we always had a spinning wicket.
Right.
But today we have Bumrah and all the great bowlers to back us. So I don't think we are worried about too much on the wicket. It's going to have its normal deterioration as such. Yeah.
Afzal, would you say that the challenge of the English team really will be to blunt the spin of Ravichandran Ashwin, and whoever partners him will probably get to know whoever partners Ravichandran Ashwin tomorrow, and there are a lot of talks about playing 3 spinners.
Yes, I am actually in favor of playing 3 spinners. As we have seen in the past few years, that Team India has gone in with a 5-bowler strategy, thinking about taking 20 wickets and then winning a test match. So I am feeling that we'll be going in with a 2-pace, 3-spin attack. And according to me, the left-arm spin of Akshar Patel will take precedence over Washington Sundar, because in the past few days, England batsmen have struggled against quality left-arm spin, considering they let Lasith Embuldeniya pick 15 wickets against them in a 2-match series, which is a lot.
Right, and one of the exponents, in fact, of the sweep shot that England batsmen use against spinners, and in fact, they play very differently from the Australians. They use sweep more often than not, and one of the exponents of that sweep shot is their captain, Joe Root. Let's listen into him, what he says about deploying sweep shots against the Indian spinners.
It's quite a lucrative shot, if you like. It's something that generates a lot of runs for me. But I think the conditions and the way that the pitches were in Sri Lanka, that was the lowest risk option for scoring runs. And actually, that was my way of managing the field and combating what they had to offer. It might be that there's more bounce. It might be that there's not as much turn and it becomes a more dangerous shot out here, and I might have to find a different way of scoring runs. But I suppose that's the art of batting, is trying to implement a game and a strategy of scoring runs on different surfaces. So the challenge here will be assessing what's right in front of us, assessing the attack that they pick, and then just trying to pick it apart and find a way of scoring runs.
Right, now let's have a look at the key contests, the battles within the battle, India versus England. Who are the ones to watch out for? Number one, Kohli versus Anderson. Yajurvindra, I'll ask a question to you after we see all these battles. Number one, Kohli versus Anderson. Number two, out there will be Rohit Sharma versus Jofra Archer. Number three, Pujara versus Broad. Number four would be Joe Root versus Jasprit Bumrah. And number 5, Ben Stokes versus Ravichandran Ashwin. Yajurvindra, coming back to you, which of these 5 battles would you think will be the most mouth-watering contest?
See, you made it into a single wicket competition. That's what we used to play, one against the other. But I think it will be, where India is concerned, it will be Anderson, I'm sorry to say, Anderson versus Rohit Sharma, because he'll be opening the batting, and that's a very important factor, because if Rohit gets going, then India gets going as well. So it's very important a factor there. Joe Root, naturally he's a fantastic player. We need to get him out. Then most of England's side is already under our bellies. And I think what will be very interesting will be Ashwin and Stokes. Because Stokes is a guy who takes the match out of context. I remember watching the first match in Rajkot, where Stokes got runs.
Right.
And, at the end, and he took the game away and drew the game. It's finally a draw. But the way he batted in that first test match then became a sort of a good thing for him all throughout. So Stokes in form is a very detrimental thing for India. Because if he starts batting well, then he starts bowling, and he's a world-class all-rounder, I think the best in the world. So we need to keep him under control. So I think that battle is a very important one for me.
Afzal, Ben Stokes, Jofra Archer, these are very big stars in the Indian side, and we all know their performances with the IPL teams. Having known the Indians well during the IPL, would you say that they are at a definite advantage when they start out against India in this series?
They will have an advantage. Like with the IPL, foreign players have come to India and studied the pitches, studied how Indian players play, interacted with them, tried to find the nuances in their game. But as you can see, that this Indian side is a very tough side. Even though the opponents have tried to have an edge against them, but they have always come back and have countered with all their tactics. So I feel that it won't be too much of an issue, and this Indian side will find it comfortable facing this English bowling attack.
Amanda, coming to you, this side, this Indian side has performed very well down under. Even the English side has performed very well against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. Would you say the battle also will be about who opens well against the other? Because once the openers get a start, perhaps half the job will be done for the rest of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the openers for India versus Australia, I think, having Shubman Gill play his previous series and get India off to that good start and being a part of such a historic win, I think it's definitely going to boost his confidence. And I think once the Indian openers get going, they can get us to a massive total that could put pressure on the other team, considering the fact that they play well in their home conditions.
Yajurvindra, one of the interesting stories that will play out during this series is the captaincy being handed back to Virat Kohli from Ajinkya Rahane. Let's first listen into what Rahane had to say about handing back the captaincy and what it really means to him.
See, my job is to take a back seat and try and help Virat. As a captain, there are too many things in captain's mind. So as a vice captain, you have to visualize the situation, think about what can happen in the game, and then if captain asks you for some suggestions, you should be ready.
Would you say Virat Kohli will be itching to prove that he's a good captain and he has established this Indian cricket team and thereby carry forward his legacy?
See, Virat Kohli has been a very successful captain in India. I think we have to put that into perspective. I think Rahane has spoken extremely well. I feel this is all tactics. It's the foreign journalists and then now Indian commentators and journalists who have made a big issue of this fact. And it's going to play, it has to play some part in Virat's mind, because now he has to prove himself to be better than Rahane. And that is an additional pressure which I think an Indian captain or Virat Kohli doesn't require to go through, but he will have to. Now there's nothing to that. But one of the things, Rika, which you have not brought up, is the ball. The SG ball.
I was coming to it, but please go ahead. Yes,
and,
please go ahead.
It's going to be darker. It's going to be harder. And it's going to last, they say, for at least 60 overs. And it's going to be having a seam. So not only the spinners will be effective, but even the pace bowlers, because somebody like Anderson and Broad and Jeffrey Archer, they can cut the ball very, very deceptively. And that's going to be and even Bumrah. I think this is going to be the bowling side is very good on both the sides. It's going to be how do the batsmen handle this. So you need a great technique, good footwork, and you need to be in tremendous form as a batsman to be there. And I think it's going to be a challenging series and a very interesting one because of that.
Once again, would you
Kohli has going through it for no rhyme or reason.
Would you say once again it will be a bowler series?
I think so. You have to get 20 wickets to win a test match. So, I mean, it is going to be. Both the sides have enough bowling in their armory. And it's going to be very interesting because of the bowlers and the quality of bowlers that are going to be on show.
So you predict that there will be no 700 plus runs made by one team?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Not with Archer on one side and Bumrah on the other and Ashwin on one side. I don't think that's going to happen.
Afzal, coming to you, in this series, we will see the clash of two talismanic captains, Joe Root and Virat Kohli, both of them in the Fab Four. Joe Root also playing his 100th test. But would you say when we talk about Fab Four, Root has fallen a little behind because unlike the other three, he doesn't feature in all formats?
For a player to play 100 tests. So hats off to Joe Root. And when the talk of Fab Four comes in, I believe that people undermine what Joe Root does, even though he doesn't play all the formats, but he scores runs consistently. Even if you see, if he isn't able to convert his starts, but he scores 50s, 60s for fun.
Right.
Like, consistently, he has been consistent in scoring runs, although he hasn't been able to convert those starts. And that is the reason why people don't rate him much higher than other three people in the Fab Four. But I believe that not playing one format affects his position in being considered as one of the Fab Four players in the modern game of cricket.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the show. We shall get back to you as the match progresses.